Okay. All right. Let's talk about this a little bit. Because understanding these principles, understanding these ideas around seed and bread have to do with wisdom and logic. This is where wisdom and logic come in. Okay. And so I really want to I want to break this down for you a little bit. Okay. In biblical Hebrew, the word for wisdom, which is shokmah, okay, it actually translates to skill. So the word wisdom translates to skill. So rather than just being smart or getting a spiritual download or just acquiring information, wisdom is the practical application of skill in solving a problem. So what does that mean for someone who is a kingdom-minded person? When I start trying to obsess over solving a problem for someone, the first thing I'm doing is I'm asking the Lord, give me wisdom on how to solve a problem. Give me the wisdom on how to develop the skill. Give me the wisdom so that I can move into what it is that you have for me. And then I work toward that, okay? So wisdom is not intelligence. Please understand that. Wisdom is not intelligence. If you have ever hung around with there's a, I'm not gonna mention any names, but there's some old fellas that I've worked around before, and buddy, I thought I had my stuff together and I knew what was going on, back when I used to turn wrenches and do other things, and I thought I had every problem figured out, and this old fella that would come in and probably didn't even have a high school education or whatever, he'd look at me and he'd kind of laugh a little bit, and then he would give me wisdom on how to actually fix what I thought I could fix with intelligence. And most of that's when I realized, okay, wisdom is not intelligence. You gain wisdom through pursuing it, through experience, through all of those things. And so I really want you to understand, wisdom is not intelligence. Wisdom is explicitly. It's real hard for a guy with a thick tongue. Wisdom is explicitly distinct from your IQ, formal education, or cognitive intelligence. Okay. It's not a noun that's representing accumulating facts. It's actually an action verb that denotes physical and spiritual execution. So it's the skill that is necessary for solving complex problems at a high level. That's what wisdom is. Okay? Tons of scriptures around that. Proverbs 4:7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding. That's Proverbs 4:7. Proverbs 8:10. Choose my instruction rather than silver, and knowledge rather than pure gold. For wisdom is far more valuable than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with it. These are principles that work in the scripture. These are things that work. Okay, and then I've got several here, but here's the last one I'm going to give you. Luke 7:35. Wisdom is justified by her children. What's that mean? Wisdom is proven by the fruit that it produces. Wisdom is proven by the fruit that it produces. You don't get to just go out and decide, okay, today I'm wise. That's not how it works. Wisdom is justified by her children. Okay. Logic, on the other hand, logic is defined as the cognitive organization of facts, reason, and rationale. Okay. The cognitive recognition or organization of facts, it's the realm of how and why, but is often devoid of the emotional fuel necessary to produce action. Now, why would I say that? It's devoid of the emotional fuel necessary to produce action. Let me tell you why. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about marketing, because if you're going to do business, you're going to have to figure out marketing at some level. It doesn't mean you have to be great, but it means you got to connect with somebody who's really good at it somehow. Okay. Here is a key to marketing. One of the things that we do when we're talking to someone and we're trying to sell them, or we're marketing them, or we're trying to explain something, is we like to focus on how our product will bring them pleasure. You're going to love this. You're going to love this. But do you know the skill that works the best when it comes to stuff like that? It's actually removing pain. So instead of telling them, you're going to love this, this is going to blow your mind, it's going to be the best that you've ever seen, It actually is more beneficial because you're connecting to the emotion of the moment to let them know this is going to solve X, Y, and Z. You are no longer going to have to deal with the negative repercussions of this, that, or whatever it may be. Okay. Logically, it makes sense to us, right? To say, hey, you're going to love this and this is going to blow your mind, all this stuff. But people will not trust you to give them pleasure, but they will absolutely trust you to remove pain from their life. That's why solving a problem is so important. And that's why you have to get wisdom and not just apply logic. Okay. Because logic can say this, it can say how, it can say why, it can ask all the questions, but most of the time it is not going to carry the emotion to actually make them take action. Okay. With logic, everything has to make sense. And that is rarely the case in the kingdom. It rarely makes sense. The kingdom is upside down, right? He teaches us if you want to get, you give. If you want to gain your life, you lose it. You turn your jar upside down like the widow did. You turn your jar all the way upside down. I've got this much oil for my son and myself to live. And he said, oh, that's great. Go make me something. I've got this much oil. I don't have anything in my house. Save a little bit of oil. That's great. Go get pots from all of your friends and turn it upside down and pour it out, and it multiplies. That's how the kingdom works. That's not logic. Okay, that's not logic. Okay, with logic, everything has to make sense. Okay, wisdom is not intelligence. It's not logic. It is not the accumulation of facts. That distinction matters. You got to know that. You have to know that. Logically, knowledge gives you facts. Understanding lets you process those facts. But wisdom is where you actually do something with them. Wisdom is the demonstration of truth, not just the possession of it. Okay? I'm moving into wisdom when I'm actually beginning to apply the truth that I have. Think of it like this, okay? Think of it like a building with 4 levels, okay? The ground floor is ignorance. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Ignorance is just this, you just don't know what you don't know. That's what it is. You just don't know what you don't know, okay? The next level is knowledge. That's acquired truth, okay? So we got ignorance, knowledge. Then the next floor up is understanding. That means I have internalized that truth. I've acquired the truth and I've internalized it. But wisdom is the top floor, and that means I am living from that truth in a way that produces an outcome. That's actually what wisdom is. Okay? Most people stop at knowledge. Most people stop at knowledge. They read the books, they attend the sessions, they know the principles, but knowing and doing are 2 different things entirely. At some point, you have to take action, and you can write this down. It's the truth. Action takers are money makers. Action takers are money makers. Do you know how I know that most people stop at knowledge? And do you know why I have been hammering this idea of I can't just give you tactical resources for philosophical problems? You proved my point. You know how you proved my point? Not one of you went to the website to get the diagnostic tool that I gave you last week for free. Not one single person. I kept waiting for the emails to come through because I thought, man, for sure they're going to go do this. No. But you got some good value, you got some knowledge. I'm not trying to come down on you. I'm just telling you, at the end of the day, you got to take action. And I'm not telling you that diagnostic tool is going to change your life, but I'm telling you it's going to help you. It's going to keep you on a path, and it's going to help you to develop what it is that I'm telling you. Action takers are money makers. We can talk about it all day long. We can get to the end of this course and the 4 weeks, and you can have tons and tons of knowledge. I mean, that's what I'm giving you tonight. I'm giving you stuff, but it doesn't become wisdom until you apply it and you actually go and do it. Does that make sense? Action takers are money makers. I have a page in my journal where I wrote that 20 times in my journal, just like I did when I was in school. Action takers are money makers. Action takers are money makers. Because I want it to get on the inside of me, because procrastination is the predecessor to being overwhelmed. And listen, if you're growing a family, if you're growing a business, whatever it is, the longer you wait, the more overwhelmed you become. with bills and with finance and all that stuff. And so that's what I'm saying. At some point, jump in and take action. Stop asking what's it going to cost and start asking what's it going to cost if I don't do this. Okay? So action takers are money makers. Here's what separates the wisdom from the logic in practice. Logic reacts when crisis shows up, and wisdom equips you before you ever get to the crisis. It sees the situation coming and adjusts before the test arrives. You stay ready so you do not have to get ready. Okay? This is so important. This is a concept that I teach called high level thinking. Okay? And I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can grow your decision making and get into high level thinking. But listen to this. Research shows, actually Harvard research shows this, that high level thinkers or high performers think 2 to 3 steps ahead. 2 to 3 steps ahead. This is a fundamental thing that I have taught my children from the very beginning of them even being able to understand language. And you could ask them, they could finish it as I started. You cannot think solely based on what's right in front of your face. If you are going to win at a high level and you're going to produce things, you are going to have to think 2 to 3 steps ahead. High level thinkers, high performers are thinking 2 to 3 steps ahead. How is this going to happen? I equate it to sports, whether it's in football or basketball, any sport, just about. The people who are doing it at a high level, they're 2 and 3 steps ahead from the person that's in front of them defending them. They have already thought, if I pass the ball here, this person is cutting here, this person's blocking out here, and we're going to get a rebound even if we miss. They're thinking 2 and 3 steps ahead. If you're going to do this at a high level, if you're really going to produce at a high level, you're going to have to increase your capacity for high level thinking, and you're going to have to begin to think 2 to 3 steps ahead. Now, listen, do not think 2 to 3 steps ahead if you still are in a pessimistic mindset. If that is your thought process, every single time, remember what I told you, your expectation is going to trump your desire. So if pessimism is your first thought process, you need to give that to the Lord. You need to give it to Him and ask Him. I know the kingdom principles, and now I have them even connected to Scripture. How do I get rid of this pessimism? Because that's not how He thinks. Okay. But if you're going to think at a high level, you're going to have to think 2 to 3 steps ahead. Here's 3 ways you can do that. Number 1, develop a growth mindset and cultivate curiosity. Guys, ask questions. But don't just ask questions, ask the right questions. Okay? Ask the right questions. Sometimes asking the right questions make people uncomfortable. Here's my example about that. Everybody in the world, when you ask them, did you do this? Their response a lot of times, if it didn't get done, is what? I didn't have the time. It's not the right question. The right question is, why didn't you take the time to get this done? And most of the time it's because it didn't fit the level of priority. And that's the truth. That's the truth. How can you say that, Ryan? We all get 24 hours. Every single person gets 24 hours. And so I don't have the time is not an accurate statement. I didn't take the time is very accurate and sometimes necessary. I didn't take the time because it was not the priority. Okay, that's fair. But just make sure that you're asking the right questions. And so you're developing a growth mindset and cultivating curiosity. I didn't make it to the meeting on time because traffic was horrendous. Okay. But also I didn't plan for traffic. And so I didn't make it to the meeting on time. Now, there's times where there's emergencies and it happens, but there's a lot of time that if you don't think about the time of day you're leaving, and this was perfect last night. Lori was telling us she knows exactly when she has to leave for work, and if she misses it within a 15-minute window, it increases her drive like 3 times. I think she was. It goes from 30 minutes to an hour and a half. So we have to ask the right questions and cultivate a growth mindset through curiosity. So to elevate my thinking, I want to embrace challenges as opportunities for learning and regularly seek out constructive feedback. If you're going to develop a growth mindset, seek out constructive feedback and don't get offended when they tell you the truth. Okay. High level thinkers approach problems with an open mind and constantly ask why and what if. Okay. Number two, if you're going to be a high level thinker, you're going to have to protect your time for strategic reflection. You must put in your schedule time for strategic reflection, for dreaming with God, journaling, coming up with ideas, growing wisdom. You have to do that. If you're going to think at a high level and you're going to think steps ahead, you're going to have to protect that time. High level thinking requires making time to examine your own cognitive processes, okay? So you should dedicate uninterrupted time weekly, if not daily, for deep work and creative problem solving, okay? And then the third one, high level thinkers, they implement problem solving frameworks rather than just making impulsive or emotionally driven decisions. Learn how to systematically break down complex problems into root causes and manageable components. Break it down. Break the problem down. How can I solve this? I heard one guy, I can't remember. I believe it was the Maytag company. Don't hold me to that, but I believe it was the Maytag company. Their R&D department, their research and development department, they were so about figuring out new things that they would sit for hours and they would ask silly questions like, how would the ant do this? How would a grasshopper do this particular task? Because they were so convinced that developing these ideas and these processes would help them to think at a different level. And it's so true. So develop frameworks. Don't just react to things. Develop frameworks in yourself that help solve the problem. And that's what I gave you as a free gift. It's a framework that will help you identify those things. Okay. All right. So logic will produce income through effort. You work hard, you get paid. It's a transaction. Wisdom produces something different. Proverbs says that wisdom brings riches, honor, and enduring wealth and prosperity, not just a paycheck. It's actually a legacy, generational transfer. Okay. So when a problem shows up, logic sees the wall, it sees the problem. Wisdom sees the training ground. How can I develop my skill? How can I fix this? How can a framework that I've already used get past this problem? Are y'all good? Everybody good? Okay. Every problem is a skill building opportunity. So what does that mean? Every problem has the ability to help me gain wisdom. Every single problem has the ability to help me gain wisdom because wisdom is skill based. All of this, guys, it's so important, and it's why philosophy matters. You have to develop your capacity to think, decide, and lead from wisdom because that is the root. Wisdom is the root. And if you fix that, then the fruit is never going to be a problem. You fix the root, add wisdom to that, it's never going to be a problem. Okay. Let me give you four things that will cause your business, your idea, whatever it is, to grow. You ready? Move number one, lead generation. You have to get in front of people. You have to generate leads somehow. In most cases, it is not a revenue problem at all. It's a lead problem. You got to figure that out. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what your business is. You got to have people that you're sharing that business with. So you have to come up with a strategy for lead generation. Revenue starts with people who recognize that they have a problem and are open to a solution. Right? We obsess over solving the problem. We got to find the people who have that problem. That's lead generation. That's number one. Number two, you have to have a menu of core products, core product offers. Getting the lead is not the win. Converting the lead is the win. And your core product offer is your primary solution to the client's problem. You want to double your revenue, double your conversion rate. So what does that mean? If you have to get better at sales, if you have to get better at lead generation, whatever that is, you grow that skill in whatever area it is. Okay. you understand that every transaction, because some people are like, oh, I just don't like sales. Every transaction that you do in your life, there is a sale involved. Every transaction, it doesn't matter what it is. If you go get a hamburger from the drive-thru, someone sold you that hamburger. Someone convinced you with marketing to show up in that driveway to do it. That's just the case. And so a lot of times I'm saying this because a lot of times we shy away. Oh, I'm not good at sales. That's no longer an excuse. It's no longer an excuse. We have to get better. We have to grow that skill, whatever that looks like. And sometimes that doesn't look like how, it looks like who. You need to get that. You're growing your business. Sometimes it doesn't mean how do I do it? It means who do I bring around me that helps me to do this at a high level. Does that make sense? But your core product offer, it has to be that's where your revenue comes. So if you double that, you're going to double your revenue. So you double your lead generation, double your conversion rate. Now you've just exponentially grown your business and grown your revenue. Make sense? Okay. Number 3, you need to have a premium value option. What does that mean? It means that the people who love you and your products the most, they want more. Give it to them. They're going to spend that money somewhere. So here's my core product, whatever it may be. Okay. Here's my core product. I'm going to use Diana again. Here's my core product. It's if you come in and to her salon, her core product is I'm going to do a cut and a color for $125, whatever. I don't know. That may be too cheap. I don't know. $125. But if you want me to blow it out, style it, cut, color, then I have a premium value offer here. And if you want me to add extensions to that, that's a premium value offer. Do you understand what I'm saying? I've got a core product, and then I'm growing that product into a premium value. Right? Makes sense? That's move number 3. If you want to increase your revenue, you got to have a premium value that goes above just your core product. And then the last move for that is continued service. How can I keep them coming back? What can I offer them? Is there a subscription that I can get them to pay on a monthly basis where they continually see the value that I'm doing, whatever it may be? It's a if you're in a service-based business, it's a maintenance package, whatever, something that keeps you on retainer, keeps you in their mind. Continued service is what we're looking for there. Okay. These 4 moves, they compound on each other. Okay. Leads feed your core product offer. Your core product offer feeds your premium value offer, and your continuity extends the value of everything that you just did. Okay. And if you run all 4 of these with intention, it will exponentially increase your revenue. Okay. Here's the last thing I want to teach you tonight. The reason we do this, the reason that I am doing this, the reason that I believe the Lord put this on my heart to grow business, finances in the kingdom. It is not about what's now. It is about generational legacy. Generational legacy. It's the transition from personal success to long-term significance. Proverbs 13:22, a good person leaves an inheritance to their children's children. And the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. That's a good verse all the way around. That is what drives me. That is what drives me. I want to create generational legacy for generations that I will never even meet, because it is the way of the kingdom. Every time God spoke to the patriarchs in Scripture, he always spoke generationally. He always spoke generationally. As a matter of fact, Hebrews tells us that when Abraham paid tithe to Melchizedek after the battle, that it actually was accounted to his great, 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 great grandson, Levi. That Levi got credit for what Abraham did to Melchizedek. Okay? Generational legacy. How do I do that? Number one, I have to have long-term planning and vision. If you are going to fulfill this mandate, then you will have to have long-term vision for generations beyond yourself. This is not just about passing down money. It has to include passing down wisdom, systems, work ethic, skills, mindsets, financial literacy. You need to teach them how to handle money and how to multiply it. You need to remove any thought of scarcity connected to kingdom wealth building. Guys, you have to remove the idea of scarcity. Listen, Jesus never one time walked in anxiousness around money. Never one time did he walk in anxiousness around money. If that is if that is his portion, it's my portion too. So I've got to get there. I got to figure out what that looks like. Okay? Number two. Well, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you why this is so important. Everybody here has probably heard about the Rockefeller family and the Vanderbilt family, right? Two of the most wealthy families in all of history. I started doing a little bit of research around this. And do you know that the Vanderbilt family at the time was like when the original admiral, the patriarch of the Vanderbilt family, started developing wealth, he was the most wealthy man in the world. Okay? He did not teach his family to multiply the wealth. And so after his kids had kids, so the third generation after that, they lost the wealth within a generation and a half. How many of you have been to the Biltmore? You ever seen you've been to the Biltmore in Asheville, North Carolina? Beautiful place that the Vanderbilt family built. Okay. The son, George Washington Vanderbilt, built that thing. He took his inheritance, built that, and that's all he did. He traveled the world after that. He did not multiply the business or the revenue at all. Died at a fairly young age. And so the Vanderbilt family, within a generation and a half, lost all of that wealth. The Rockefeller family, on the other end of the spectrum, they still are worth multiple billions of dollars today because they created a system that passed down wealth, financial literacy, multiplication, all of that. You can go study it, you can look at it. Two different families that did it two different ways. And what happened is most people believe that the Rockefellers actually learned from the Vanderbilts what not to do. It's wild. It's wild when you think about the level of wealth that they had. The level of wealth that they had in their day is crazy. And they lost it within a generation and a half. I refuse to let my family do that. I refuse to let my family do that. Okay. So long-term planning and vision. Number two, you have to detach income from time. You have to detach income from time. To create multi-generational wealth, you have to view wealth creation as a kingdom assignment that removes the connection of time to revenue generation. Listen to this. True wealth creation is mathematically impossible when income is tethered to the finite constraint of time. If you are only able to make money based on your time and your physical resources, it's mathematically impossible to create generational wealth. You only have so many hours in a day. It's so funny. People talk to me about, oh man, I make this amount of money an hour. You still have a limited amount of money that you can make because first of all, you cannot work 24 hours a day. You can pull double shifts and work 16 sometimes, but it's impossible to work 24 hours a day. You have to figure out how to create income outside of time. You have to do that. And that's what entrepreneurship does. That's what growing business does. That's what we're talking about. Okay. So if you're going to do this generationally, you're going to have to detach income from time. Number three, you're going to have to build wealth ecosystems. The simplest definition of an ecosystem is a community of living organisms that interact with each other in a specific environment. Applied to kingdom finance, a wealth ecosystem is a relational and financial environment that inherently reproduces prosperity and influence. So what does this look like? It looks like money making money. Create an ecosystem where money makes money. Number two, have a clear understanding of what it means to be rich versus wealthy. Many people are searching riches. It's not just being rich that I'm looking for. I want to be wealthy. I actually want to be wealthy. I want to create a wealthy ecosystem so that multiple generations are rich. What's the difference? Okay, what's the difference between being rich and wealthy? Number one, it's the source of identity, right? The rich mindset, the things they own, that's my identity. But the wealthy mindset is it's who I am. It's who God created me to be. I'm living from that purpose, right? The rich mindset is I'm always working for money. Wealthy mindset is money works for me. It's just a total different mindset. The rich mindset is like I'm just looking to acquire assets. The wealthy mindset is I'm looking to acquire assets to leave legacy. The rich mindset is I'm just giving to people, but the wealthy mindset is I actually invest in people. I actually care about them and invest in them. It's a big difference, and people know it. People know it. People know it. Part of the reason I'm so good at sales is because I genuinely care about the person that I'm selling to, and they know that. I communicate that to them. I communicate that to them, and I have learned how important that is. I don't say that to brag, but I am good at sales. I'm good. You put me in front of somebody, and the exception is that I don't close the deal. That's not the rule. That's the exception. Because I'm going to. I mean, there's tons of things around that. There's tons of things around that we could talk about. But I genuinely care about what they need, and they know that. And my name is more important than a dollar figure, and they know that. I'm going to do the job with integrity. I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. And that's just so important. It's just a different approach. It's actually investing in people. And then the last part of the wealth ecosystem is you actually shape your environment by how you steward your lane of influence. Okay. People gravitate toward those who share their beliefs about money. The circle that you build around you, it reflects what you actually believe, right? Not just what you say you believe. Fear-based beliefs produce environments where people hoard information and resources. That hoarding produces poverty. It's just that simple. A kingdom wealth environment works differently. It's built on faithfulness. Generous beliefs attract more wealth. And this is the truth. This is a biblical principle, what I'm going to say. And you can think it sounds harsh, but it's the truth. The faithful get richer and the fearful get poorer. Fear does not get a vote in the kingdom. The last two on building an ecosystem is you teach people how to reproduce themselves. This always equates to more authority. And then the last one, this is so important. This is so important. The next generation does not have to start from scratch. The next generation does not have to start from scratch. I remember having to deal with that fear of my kids having to start from scratch. And that's why this thing shifted in me into generational legacy. All right. Well, I hope I've given you some more value this week. I'm gonna let you ask some questions in just a moment. Let me give you 5 more book recommendations. 5 more, absolutely. Leaders or readers, get the knowledge. Number one, The Richest Man Who Ever Lived by Stephen Scott. Number 2, Economic Redemption by Wayne Malcolm. Number 3, Dumbing Us Down by John Taylor Gatto. It's a great book. It will uncover for you how the system and the culture, the cultural hypnotic societal mechanism I was talking about last week, has trained us to think the way that we do and to think with lack. It's a really good book, Dumbing Us Down. 7 Frequencies of Communication by Erwin McManus. If we're going to get here to this level of value, we need to learn how to communicate and be better communicators, okay? So 7 Frequencies of Communication, Erwin McManus. And then a phenomenal book just about making the main things and doing it the right way is The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer.